You do.
Is there like two of my favorite
You sit down, right?
Wherever you would like. You're the talent.
Oh, thank you. That's perfect. Okay.
You're wearing sandals today. You don't have any cute socks.
I'm sorry. I thought this was going to be enough.
It is. It's close.
Oh boy. I have a lot of socks on the show. I have a lot of socks.
They need to get the Denise Miller collection on shelves and stores.
Let's make it happen.
I want to see that at the Nordstrom rack in a few months.
Yes. So many socks.
They're the cutest.
Thank you. I think so too. Do you know, during the year I find socks and I buy them for Denise. Yeah, there was one that I didn't get to wear. It was like a dinosaur taco situation, and then there was also like a mermaid donut situation, like really beautiful crossovers that they put on socks.
But deemed too risque.
See, but I'm
yeah, too risque.
Pushing the stock boundaries on the show.
No, I think it was like a
T-Rexes.
And you know the one that has like a mound and it has this
Stegosaurus.
Thank you. It's called Tacosaurus. Thank you.
So things are not going so well.
Yeah. You left us with kind of a bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
What the hell? Both your Leon's certainly been through some stuff last season.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about where the season's opening up and where the characters are at this point?
Yeah, so Dana, our season opener is called Hell is What You Make It. And so the thing that he likes to be telling everyone is everything you've seen so far is what Evie and Stan's point of view has seen. Through their eyes so far. I don't know.
I've lost my head.
You lost your head. Yep.
But
my mom's back alive. You know, there's all sorts of things.
But yeah.
But if you thought it ended weird with season 2, ooh boy, season 3, buckle up because it is gonna be fun.
Yeah, we have a lot of really wonderful monsters and terrors this coming season.
Yeah. And that, excluding him on set.
The real monsters are the scariest ones, right?
God, what a diva. Demanded having airbrush makeup because he liked it the way it made his face feel and the massage. That's true. That is real.
It's nice to have. It's like.
It's true. I regretted not requesting it after watching him just be so relaxed. No, what a dream working with this one. I truly feel, every single season I'm like, thank goodness for this show because I got so many great friends out of it. We're truly, like, well, I don't know if you do, but I love everyone.
No, we have a great time in Atlanta. Atlanta's a really wonderful, if you have time to be in Atlanta, I recommend it. Every summer we have a great time.
Summer in
restaurants.
That just sounds like sweaty.
It does get hot.
It's
you have
very,
to deal
very
with
sweaty.
it. And Janet and I are in polyester through most of the season.
Yeah.
So
that's
that's
so many socks.
That's not pleasant. But it's a funky little town. I really am always happy to get back.
I kind of want to make a guidebook.
You should.
No,
you should.
but with you. Like, because we have very different tastes, but like the same tastes, and like our favorite spots.
Except the one place we have 3 years and we still haven't gotten to the Jimmy Carter Museum.
Oh my God, it was on my list this year again. So many times. But also there were opportunities to go, and you would be working that day, or you'd be like, today's a nap day, and I'm like, I can't go by myself.
It's not going anywhere.
Like
It'll be there when we get back.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully it will.
Close for renovations now that you probably want to go, right?
100%. Yeah. 100%.
So it seems like season 1 and 2, I mean, it's difficult to get to a season 3. And congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So do you think maybe, again, this might be a silly question based on the show, but maybe season 1 and 2 playing it a little safe, and now we got season 3, let's push the limits. Which would be scary to think about if you're really going to just ratchet it up a lot more for season 3.
Literally going to hell.
That? Right. Did you see that? Just kind of balls to the wall, crazy season 3?
Here's what I'm going to say. I don't take everything you think what's going to happen and throw it out the window, because what you're going to see in season 3 you couldn't imagine. And I don't want to you couldn't imagine it. Between our guest cast that we have this year, we have amazing guest cast.
Maria Bamford, Scott Adams.
Kettner.
Eddie Pepitone.
Chris Mintz-Plasse is going to be there. So we got to work with all of our favorite friends.
And then some.
And then Dana got to like truly pick all of his favorite genres and movies and
Yeah, I think
TV shows, and we get to play with those, which is so cool. Like X-Files, Godzilla, like everything that if your inner nerd would like go berserk for, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening in season 3.
Yeah, each season's been better than the last, and I think this season, with that incredible list of guest stars, the show really, I think, found its monster of the week kind of formula, and our creatures are incredible. I don't want to give too much away, but we have some real wonderfully scary and hilarious things that are coming after us.
Yeah.
In Willard's Mill this year.
And we have Autonomous. They're doing our effects and makeup again this year, and they're just fantastic.
Yeah.
Every single year, I'm like, I didn't think you could do it any better, and you have.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
And speaking of the effects, you look at the show. I mean, it's doing just bananas work. I look at it, it's like, yeah, this is a great show on IFC, and it looks like studio, like movie quality, just effects and makeup. I mean, what was it like working with those creative people? I mean, how has that process been?
They're just the hardest workers.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the first ones there. They're always the last ones to leave. Mick Ignis, who plays many of our monsters, he spends hours in makeup chairs. It's always, there's kind of like, I feel like when the autonomous guys show up on set, when they bring in a creature, when Mick shows up in full prosthetics, there's kind of a hush that always kind of falls over the set. There's almost this like reverence and kind of like, oh, here comes the high priest of horror and effects, and I can't say enough about this guy.
Yeah, truly. It's cool too that we don't have to like imagine it, that we actually get to act with it. Because so many shows are like, well, I had to talk to this like green screen.
Yeah. Look at this tennis ball. It'd be really scary.
I got some weird thing doing it, but react.
We get it, so that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Denise in the first season had a pig. The second season, she dealt with a different baby.
I also had a pet goat for it.
And goat.
Let's not forget about the goat.
No, and I love goats. So, season 3, are we going to see any animals or maybe toddler situation?
No toddlers.
No toddlers.
Animals? I'm trying to remember. We shoot the scene.
A gorilla.
Oh, there is a gorilla. It's not my pet though.
It's not
There's some puppets.
You're out of the house a lot more this
I am
this
out of the house
episode.
a lot more.
So I think you're not. You got to leave your guinea pigs and hamsters at home.
Also, there's a bit maybe more love interests for Denise this season. So,
She doesn't have to worry about the pigs and the baby.
What does Stan think about that?
Just has to worry about her pitter-patter heart. Stan couldn't be more happy. He wants me out. Are you kidding? He's like, oh my God.
Please, Denise, come on.
Last question, guys.
All right.
Deborah.
Oh, well, do it. Please.
Well,
Wait.
Leon he's been doing a lot of stuff last season, and he stepped up and tried really hard to be a good sheriff's deputy. So can you talk a little bit about what he's trying to do and his journey this season without spoiling too much? Maybe not getting so high.
He's just Leon's committed to walking the beat. I mean that's what's so much fun about this character is that it's so defined what his responsibility in this town is. So I'm just grateful that I get to do some more police work. Janet and I are together. Evie and I are walking the beat, and I'm not quite as lecherous as I've been in the past. but I think it speaks to the gravity of the situation.
I would say all the characters this season sort of reveal another layer to their onion and really grow. You get to love them even more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Yeah. Enjoy your time at the convention. This is really
Nick
cool.
is going to be so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm really good friends with Nick. So,
Great. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
So when's Jimmy getting you all on Westport? When's that going to happen? Right?
It will be in the saloon or something.
Drinking milk. I mean, they do bleed. They do bleed white.
Yeah, no, it would really fit right in. Find out that's where like the McPoyles originally came from. They broke out of Westworld.
I mean, that would explain how weird they were. The entire McPoyle group.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, bro. Love.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Only a pleasure. Only a pleasure on our side.
This was lovely.
You look great, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, of course.
For the record, what's going on?
Hi. Nothing.
How's your cons?
Pretty good.
I feel like usually we see you guys on like a Thursday, so now I'm seeing you at
see,
the
my
very
brother
end.
was here for me last year. He was the
Right
bald,
on.
shimmery guy with makeup.
Oh yeah, totally, totally. Is he here this year too?
He is, but I've actually watched the show now and binged and love it. And
Excellent news.
I'm sorry, Moj, between the two of us, I gotta do it. And
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Awesome. But yeah, are you tired? Now it's like day 3. It's basically almost the end. Yeah.
Oh, you've been here for the whole, like since Thursday, or Thursday?
You did?
Or no,
Or
I'm
have
saying,
I?
have you?
Oh yeah. I came in Thursday because I did a sci-fi panel that was super fun. It was called The Great Debate.
Okay.
And it was like a nerd
I wanted to
debate.
go to that.
Yeah,
I'd like
it
to
was
be at
so
that.
fun. It was John Barrowman from Torchlight. It was Aisha Tyler moderated it. Who else was on it? It was just amazing. Felicia Day, Joe Manganiello, who I got to sit next to, so I was just like, Sophia, don't look at me, I'm just casually petting your husband. And Orlando Jones. So it was like killer crew. And we ended up debating stuff like, which obviously you got to get into who's the best Chris.
Right.
So we got into some Pratt versus Pine versus Evans versus Hemsworth.
Well, who's your favorite Chris?
I said Chris Pratt. Probably not surprising because he comes from comedy, and he's like, he's like roly-poly guy, God blessly, but still like gives us, shits on himself.
He
so to
has an
speak.
inner kind of husky guy.
Inner husky, yeah, and like very grounded. He's the one that like I sort of think of it as like if I were to be one of the Chris's, I would really be him. I would not. You know what I mean? Like no one's gonna swap places with me and Hemsworth. That's not gonna happen. He's like, oh my God. So, but yeah, and then we did like Avengers versus Justice League. I mean, listen, it got very tense. There were like 4,000 people there, and we were told like some of them was like, we want you to argue this one, and you sort of go, oh, I hope the fans stand me after I argue. I got the Avengers. I felt lucky. So it was pretty
in the
easy.
latest issue of our magazine, which we had to leave in a rush, right? So we didn't bring any. But it's Cookie Monster versus Grimace.
Oh, very nice. Interesting. I mean, I pick Cookie Monster.
I would pick Cookie Monster.
I feel like he's more volatile and unpredictable. He could start tearing somebody apart, whereas Grimace might just like
but
roll
Grimace
over.
is by the bigger corporation, and
Oh, you want to get into that? You're in
Well.
big trouble. That's a good point. That's a good point. The corporation. You're right. They can,
because Sesame Street is public broadcasting. That's
true.
for the general greater
It's true.
good of
Children's
humanity.
television programming. Yeah, you're right.
McDonald's feeds and kills people.
You're right. That's a really good point. I think I'm switching. I might switch.
But yeah,
I know.
Okay, thanks for your time. We
nerd
appreciate
out.
it.
I know. I seriously would be like, we're nerdy out with you guys. Awesome.
well, so like last season, I thought it was very, very interesting that, after everything going on, messing with time, Evie, had that confrontation with Stan and actually let him go and let him make his own decision, even though she wasn't necessarily going to agree with it, and let the consequences fall where they may. And then obviously now we have a portal to hell.
How about that?
Portal?
Yeah.
Good work, Stan. Solid work. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about
Job well done.
that what's going to happen this season with Evie, and does she regret her decision, even if that might not come up in this season?
Yeah. Well, I think, it's funny. One of the things about this show is I think so much happens in such a condensed period of time that I've never thought about it before, but just what you just said made me think like there's so little time for regret, because it's like we have to just deal with this next problem. And so it's true that there isn't a whole lot, and then if you survive it, you're so relieved to have survived it that you almost don't want to spoil it by going like, and by the way, this is on you. But the season 3 starts very much dealing with that reality. But it isn't that, it's not like that arc becomes season 3. It's not like, oh, this is all about getting the door to hell close. It's really more like we deal with this and then we move on to the gajillion other things that become a problem. Since, arguably Willard's Mill is kind of hell on earth anyway, since it has curses and demons. So it becomes more about something else in a sense, but it's definitely connected to all of that. And there is a through line from season 2 in terms of this idea where we've gotten to know Stan as a character who, at his core, does have like honorable, or at least understandable. It's in there. It's he loved his wife. He doesn't want the reality of the world to be awful, but he can't quite get to a place that is a smart way of handling that. And so there is kind of another situation where there's something going on that he does not want to tell Evie because Evie's his conscience. And if he says it out loud, she's going to say, you're crazy. So how does he have his own kind of plan and then all this other stuff that's happening in between?
I know you can't say much about season 3, obviously.
I never know. It's like if I'm sitting next to Dana, he'll say a bunch of stuff, and I'll go, "Oh, can I?" I
can say that.
Okay.
That's our final question with Jen.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. That being said, where do you see your character going in season 3 that you didn't get to go to in 1 and 2?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's more about the acceptance of like I'm not going to be able to get through this without him. I don't think there's a whole lot of push and pull between Evie and Stan in terms of it's sort of more like she realizes he's family. It's like, and it's the family that you roll your eyes at and you apologize for with other people. But at the end of the day, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna like this person's in my life forever. I think that I think she's moved past that point, and I think that kind of frees her up in a sense because it's kind of a relief to stop fighting against that, and so I think that relationship continues to grow even as he's keeping stuff from her, and I think that's part of it. It's like, why would he? Like I thought we were, I thought maybe we had moved past the you keeping stuff from me thing, and he's sort of stuck there. So
it seems like the most realistic family of them all, to be honest.
I know, it's true, right? You're like, yeah, so you guys get in a weird cycle where it's the worst part of yourself over and over. Right. Interesting.
Like, where did that come from?
Exactly. Oh, and I'm going to give you postcards. There's another thing I'm doing with IFC that we haven't launched yet, but it's called Fortune Rookie, and I play me.
I play me.
But in this kind of alternate universe, the psychic tells me that I'm psychic. So I'm like, oh my god, so I'm going to give you...
Oh, please.
We're going to launching in like later this summer, early fall. But we have a little like landing place where I knew I was going to be here. And if you look at the cast, it's like, oh shit, that's person from this, and this person from that. Like, it's great. I got so lucky.
You're like, it's a bunch of us, we're all friends, and it's awesome.
My 2 favorites I'm most excited about is I wrangled Tim and James from Psych.
Yeah, James Roday.
We're all so hungry for it.
Thank you so much.
I guess
hi there.
The man himself.
How is it?
Oh, man.
Good, how are you doing?
Never better.
Thank you for the time. Please, yes.
So, one of the things that I find really, really interesting on the show, and it's one of my favorite aspects, is the relationship between, Stan and Evie, and you don't see a lot of really strong male and female friendships on shows like this between characters this age. Can you talk a little bit about that and going into season 3 when they're...
Well, Dana, who created the show, and myself as the producer, one of our favorite tones is screwball, and screwball is defined as the protagonist being female, whether it's Rosalind Russell or Kate Hepburn. And because early on it became clear that Janet can play those notes, and it's really hard. That's why you don't see that much successful screwball. But Janet's so agile, and she's so nimble with tone that we started to move it in that direction. So while the show is called Stand Against Evil, Janet is the initiator. Stan's very reactionary. And Dana also was funny, he said to me early on that Janet's the son I never had. And I didn't know what he meant at first, because I do think Stan obviously loves Deborah's character and cherishes his daughter. But he's right, Janet is the son he never had. And so there's no sexual tension between them, but there's genuine respect and fondness, which is hard because everybody wants to fuck each other. That's not the drill. And they both need each other to get from A to B. They can't do it alone. Stan damn sure can't. Maybe she could. But and so that when we rely on each other like that and take away the sexual component, then there's some honesty in there. And so you see it, not all the time since it's a horror comedy, but in between the lines you can see it. And you can also see how much I adore Janet Varney, and it's reciprocal. And the camera sees all, I always tell actors the camera's an X-ray machine. So if you think you're going to pull one on, and actors lie for a living, so good actors can reduce the scope of the lie. And then the X-ray machine doesn't suffer you as quite a fool. And if so, for Platoon, when they sent us to boot camp for 3 weeks, none of us were soldiers, but that reduced the scope of the lie. At the end of the 3 weeks, if we took lie detector tests, it would have come out that 70% of that platoon felt like they were grunts. And the camera, then that's the way the camera suffers it. And so your question is right on, that friendship between those two characters, the camera identifies it. And it's real. And to have that in a horror comedy is another layer that I think people relate to from the stuff I see online. And it's what separates it. Look, Stand Against Evil occupies this real estate horror comedy between the two extremes on the spectrum are Scooby-Doo, which is funny, but it's not scary, and The Exorcist, which is really scary, but it's not funny. And so to somewhere meet in the middle there, that tone, it's hard, because you can't defang the monsters, but you don't want to make the jokes too stupid. And so that's what we try to do. That's the tone of the piece.
That's a perfect summation of it too. And I was wondering, just to reset for a second, when the show first came out, and I heard you were in it, I'm in. Just previous roles and your career, obviously. And I wasn't sure kind of about the set, hearing the premise and seeing the trailers. When you saw it, and it totally works by the way, but when you first saw the script and you're having these conversations with Dana, what sold you on the project?
What sold me was something that I wanted Dana to mine, and it was Stan's loss. And the loss is that we find out in the first 4 minutes of the first episode that his wife's been killed, or dead. He doesn't know killed or dead. And he's lost his job of 27 years, and his life is largely done. And he just says, I want to sit in my chair and do nothing, and I can't even do that. And so I said to Dana, I said, I think you're missing an opportunity here. What's interesting about this guy is loss. And we're all familiar with loss. I don't care if somebody took the ball away from you in the playground. It's part of the human condition. And I said, I understand the tone of the piece, and I did. Clearly, right up front, I said, but you got to explore Stan's loss. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. And he didn't realize that he had already put that all on the page. Great writers don't realize it. And I said, you're the one who put this on. I didn't have anything to do with it. But you're missing Stan's loss. That's all that matters to me, is him reconciling his loss. All this other shit that you layer on top will be funny if it's a guy trying to reconcile loss. He hadn't left this town in 27 years. Been married to the same woman. Been no hanky-panky. he's probably never taken his gun out of his belt. This has been a good job for 27 years. It's defined him. Now he has no definition and has no grounding. That's your hero? I want to watch that guy, but we got to dig into him. And so that's what attracted me to it. And so it was a leap of faith that the executive producer would dig into that. And he did. And now it's yielded dividends.
I think it helped a little bit.
It helps a lot. Otherwise,
no, I said you helped to dig it in. You're
yes.
great at it.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm pretty stubborn.
So, this is a pretty special effects heavy show, and I've seen some teases of...
Well, it's practical effects.
Yes.
We don't have the money for special effects.
Sorry, practical effects. A little smattering of special effects. But the practical effects, I've seen some hints of what's to come in season 3.
Have you?
Yeah. I'm friends with Mick.
Oh, okay. He's the best.
Yes. I'm keeping it all under wraps, but I'm friends with him.
He's a god.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit, did you have to do anything, obviously you don't get thrown around any usually, but did you have to get splattered at all really this season?
Mick snapped my neck last year in the finale.
Yeah.
But
he got to rip heads off, snap necks.
Did anything happen to Stan? I can't remember, and I'm not being a wise guy because we're editing 301, 303. We just did 303. We'll start 304 on Monday. I swear to you, I feel like a horse with blinders on right now. That it's just about 304. 303 is done. We'll tweak it a little bit. It's insane. It's like a fever dream. And 304 will go back to kind of a mythology episode. But what's great about the mix of the world is, well, he's top of the food chain, but these actors come in, they go into makeup at like 3 in the morning, they get all these prosthetics put on them for 4 or 5 hours. Now the ensemble comes in, and Mick is like a Zen master. He sits in his chair, it's 90 degrees with 90-degree humidity, he has all these appliances on, and somebody calls action, and he crushes it. And so the difference being, the actors don't have to have a tennis ball on a C-stand and make pretend it's a scary monster coming at them. It's Mick in full regalia and is scary as shit. Awesome. And the camera, again, the actors aren't lying. They're scared. Mick is doing this shit and it's scary. And the camera fucking suffers it as not a lie. And so that's the advantage. It's a pain in the ass doing all this practical stuff. I'm sure it would be much easier on the computer. We don't have near enough money for computer stuff. But also the fans love the practical stuff.
Because your eye can tell the difference.
Well, Dana says the same thing. That everyone's seen now from The Life of Pi, where that DP won for rendering an ocean. Nothing in The Life of Pi was real. Nothing. When the kid's on the raft, when he's on the thing. So you can render whatever you want. You can render an ocean perfectly now. Not really. You know it's not an ocean. You know that's not a tiger. And so when you get these guys and women who are on the upper part of the food chain of doing practical stuff, it makes a difference. Like we had some puppets this year. We haven't cut this episode yet. We have puppets this year who are bad guys, and that was hard. But you have these puppeteers who come in. They're miraculous. I mean, obviously everything has to be 15 frame shots, and there has to be a lot of setups. You can't just watch a puppet do his or her shit. You have to cut around them a lot, and it's a lot more setups than we usually have. But it was great. A la Chucky. I think Dana's always making an homage to somebody. We had the X-Files. We had an homage to the X-Files, to Kolchak, and there's some demon puppets this year who are insane. Insane. We blow their heads off. That's what you do to demon puppets. Right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
What else would you do with demon puppets?
Exactly. Is there one more question? Oh, wonderful. Okay. Did you have another one?
I'm good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, like you said, you're still at the start of filming. 1, 2. You're on to 3 and 4 right now.
No, we're chopping. We're
chopping.
We've done.
Oh,
film.
everything. Okay.
We're just editing.
You're editing. Okay. I know you can't say a lot. Thematically, or just maybe top level, what was your favorite part of the season? Maybe just overall theme?
I thought Dana creating, finding his way out of the end of the world, the apocalypse that he wrote at the end of season 2, and then having Stan, giving Stan this uber arc of that if you hit the theme he gave Stan this year, and it is for all eight episodes, is that if you want to defeat evil, you have to find a bigger evil. So you have to find evil's boss and let a little in. And that's just diabolical.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe or I will scratch your eyeballs out.